Hey guys, welcome back to Hicks's Fab Garage. So I've been doing some thinking. I decided to put my pedals back in to see how I want to run all the brake lines. That's one reason I haven't finished the engine bay yet, because I got the master cylinder for the brakes and clutch inside there, and I'm trying to get as clean a look as possible. I'm thinking, how can I get that clean of a look? I hooked this up and through there. I'm like, I'm gonna have to run the wire, all the tubing still down and through the firewall inside here, run out. So I'm thinking, why don't I just move the master cylinders inside under the dash? Makes sense, right? That way I can have a nice clean shaved engine bay. So I've been doing some research trying to figure out the best way to do it. I mean, this isn't a race car, it's more of just a fun car to drive, but I'm like, it's not a show car. So I'm like, well, what do I want to do? So I've been digging around and I think I came up with a solution. Since I have the brakes and everything for Wilwood, why don't I go with their reversed pedal assembly? So I've seen a few people that have done it on the Z's, like the 240s. There's two people on Facebook, so I can't remember them. If I can remember, I'll try to do their link wise too, but this is for 510, so it's going to be different, but it's pretty much goes like this. So you got your clutch and you got your brake, and then you can either have the reservoirs, your master cylinders, come out towards you, or you can have them relocated somewhere. So I'm thinking, I think I like this. So before I can guarantee that this is going to work down here, and I'm pretty sure it's going to, I'm going to go ahead and get some measurements where these pedals lie at, so I know exactly where this needs to sit. So let's get some measuring done. So here's my original pedal box that came out of this car. The one in there now is from another one. This one was actually broken, and I kind of jerry-rigged it to be able to drive it last year, and it worked out okay. So I'm just looking at the mounting points, what this has to what this has part into it. I'll list the part number of exactly this is. Problem is, like, I believe this was like 6 to 1, or actually, I might say right here on the box, I have it right next to, this is a 6 to 25 to 1 throw on it. So, for this one, pedals right there. So if I line it up where the new line is, it's not exactly the same length actually. It's a little, but I can actually, this does have adjustable pedals onto it. I should be able to push down onto it wise. So I'm thinking, can I use this, or do I just need to make my own special bracket for here? So I think I'm going to go ahead and just take all the pedals off, take all this apart that I don't need, and then I might be able to figure out a way how to use this on here. Okay, so looking over all of this here, I don't think I'm going to be able to use it much. Sorry, my kids are playing in the background. I'm not going to be able to use much of this for it. So I'm going to go through and just cut most of it out. Problem is, the few things that I do need to keep. I want to try to keep this up here that bolts up to the front firewall, because this is where you got to bolt up for your steering rack. So I'm going to leave that there. I'm going to leave this bolt here because there's a bracket that bolts to that, and that hole right there that helps hold it in place. So everything else can pretty much go. So what I'm thinking is, I'm just going to take the cutoff wheel. I'm going to cut from here, cut straight all the way down, and I'm going to leave this back side and cut this off. I mean, I like to keep some of this because this can be stored against the firewall. The other ones I've seen people built is just off of this right here, and it has the like either inch square tubing from here, mounts to a plate and welded up to the firewall. The problem with that is that doesn't hold room for my steering rack. So I need to try this first, see if I get it to fit, and we'll go from there. lot of measurement, trying to figure out the best way to install this. I did ask some people on Facebook, what did they recommend? A lot of people said they don't recommend it because I don't have a roll bar cage. I can understand that, but this is not a race car. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a try anyways, because I do have my other spare box off camera over there if I really mess this up. So right now though, I went ahead and I picked up some not inch and a quarter, and I'm going to go ahead and actually just make a cage to fit this around. I did make a back plate, but I think I made it too small to help support it and strength wise. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's go and make the cage. Alright guys, so right here I've been doing a lot of cutting stuff. This is a normal pedal box. Got your pedals, everything that bolts up to the firewall, and then your steering rack bolts up to right here. I have an extra one that I was damaged and it wasn't all that good, so I've been using this as much. This is how much is left from of the one pedal box. I mean, I just kept cutting, and I still might not be able to even use this. So let me give you a quick look where I'm at now. The battery is about to die, but here it is with the pedal box and so far. It's been a couple days trying to get this arranged to make sure the pedal was. I had to slide it a little bit further over. I do need to probably put my throttle pedal in, just make sure I through my I think I'm gonna have to bend it, and the pedals, luckily I can adjust them. The tabs to go over, that'll give me a little bit more room. Problem is my welder is not the best going for thick stuff, so a little bit of pain. Biggest issue I have is clearancing up in here. So I'm thinking I'm gonna try putting this back in, see if it is, but the problem is with the middle cylinder, it hits right up in there. It's gonna be hard to hook the pedal up to it, but I'm gonna hook this back up to it, and I might actually do some other custom work up and through here for get better support onto this. And I will on the firewall, everything just spot welded in, tacked in for now, and I know I'm gonna have to do a little bit more moving. So, but I am happy with this as now. Now I have to make sure it is strong enough to be able to, well, use the brake pedals. All right, battery's gonna die any second, so hopefully I can get this in. So, got this mounted back in. Gives me just enough clearance right in here to hook the brake line up to it. Nothing touches, so I'm happy with that. So I have to now figure out how the best way to brace all this, weld all this up. I'll probably put some braces here on the side. I do need to put a hole somewhere on the other top into the firewood onto the other side through the firewall for more support up there. So my plan is to have this bolted to the back side. So I'm happy with this. I'll probably shorten this or figure a way, maybe, I don't know how to brace it. I don't know, it's gonna take a little time. But then I'm thinking about also making a panel to fit back in here for extra strength so that I can bolt onto it on that side. So it'd be clamping everything. I mean, what I'm gonna do on this side, I'm gonna weld to it, but at least it'll get it nice and secure, so it'll be a lot stronger. So I'm thinking to go with that route. So time to figure out how to now take it all apart, weld everything up, and brace it. Okay, put this back on the stand for double test fan because I did end up sliding the bolts back, everything back a little bit further, and I went ahead and welded all the way around on this. So the problem is not really going to be side to side because you got this supporting it. The problem is going to be this flux here. I mean, it's going to be a little bit better when it's all bolted up through there, but you're still going to have a little bit. So what I'm thinking about doing, I'm going to give this a try. Found this scrap piece of metal I had bent. This is 18 gauge. So I measured the angle inside there, and I'm thinking about welding this part to the top and be able to bolt this onto the side of it. Still got to cut it up and everything. That way, that'll help with the flux this way. Or I could probably weld it to this side here and bolt it to the top. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to cut it out and make sure I can get it to fit properly. But I'm quite happy with that. So I think I'm going to go ahead though and cut this probably like right here because I don't need it off-wise. I was thinking maybe if I cut this here, heat it, I could bend this up, but there's really no great place to connect it at the top part, and that just seems to happen. I just weld or bolt to it. So I'm just going to cut these off here. That makes it get in and out a lot easier for it, but I'm happy so far. So a lot of strengthening. I think that's going to be the biggest issue with this, is trying to figure out how to strengthen it. When I hit the brakes, I'm not doing this. So continuing. So working on the firewall, I want to put a bigger plate on this side to help support it. So all I'm doing to make a template is every area where I want it covered for the master cylinders to support on the other side. So all I do is put tape and I just drew a red line. And then what you need to do is get a cardboard. Cereal boxes are actually really good at making templates, especially if they're chocolate puffs. So all you gotta do is take the tape, put it on this, cut it out, make sure it fits properly, and then if it works out good, then figure out the other hole I want to drill onto it, and then I'll put on some steel and cut it out of steel. Simple. All right, well, a couple more days have gone by. I haven't had a chance to get out here and work on it. So you saw me have this part, I believe. I'll have to go check my video because I don't remember, but this welded up, and I did make a plate here. I don't know if I'm going to weld this in or if I'm just going to have it bolted into it. The problem was when I had it, this whole wall, you can see here, this is all kind of wavy in here. It's been stretched and all that from having the mass brake cylinders and stuff onto it, pulling down on it and stuff, I'm assuming, or just wear after time. This is stretched out. So this makes it a lot stronger because like right now, I mean, I don't have all the bolts in. I wish I showed you frame, but I mean, it's not completely tight, but this one, it does wiggle a little bit. With the back plate on this side was very secure. This side still had a little bit of play. So I went ahead and welded that plate onto it to match up into the back. The problem is that this whole side sinks down 1/2 inch compared to this over here, but I stretched it over since I'm changing up the way my throttle, get rid of the throttle rods and use a throttle cable. I think I'll be able to use these bolts here, because the plate actually goes over to here and supports out here and pushes onto it. So I'm testing that out now. So I just marked the holes to drill through there. So I'm gonna drill those out. I don't think I'll need to put a plate on over here for it. At least I hope not. I mean, I could make one right in here if I wanted to, but the problem is the nut is on the other side. So it's actually only supporting off the 2 little nuts. Okay, these aren't the bolts I'm using for it because these are all too long. Probably using some like this. Still debating if I'm gonna weld the nut to the back plate, probably be easier for install, and still debating if I want to weld this in or not. So, got it all bolted in. Yeah, I still probably need to do some more cross bracing, but you saw how bad it wiggled before. I mean, this side's solid. This side's still a little bit of play. So I could, trying to think, I could do an angle either this way, up and down. That will help support it. Probably could do the same for this side too. I mean, it's pretty secure, and this one probably flex less too once I have the master cylinders in. So maybe I should install that, because I gotta check my video. I did make an upper bracket to weld up to here. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. All right, time to show my mistakes. So I had that lovely bracket that was right here that I need to get off. This ain't a lot of spot welds into it. And it leads up into your cowl. And my cowl was kind of rusted, and I didn't know how bad it was until I started trying to remove it, and I made a nice big hole there. So that stinks. Now on top of it also, that comes up to right out here. That's a little dark, but now I got a nice holder here. This is all messed up. I mean, I can fix it. It's just a pain in the butt, but I mean, I guess I can. It's good to figure out how bad it was, but I mean, it's all rusted and all interior underneath. There's nothing you can do about it. You just gotta know that these are old cars. They're gonna be like that unless you get acid dip, and there'll probably be nothing left. So now I need to go ahead and hammer this down. But this was the bracket that I made for it. Oh, camera. Come on, camera. Okay, you can see it. I can't, so I can't point it to exactly what it is. So I just, this is only out of 18 gauge steel, but I bend it to put extra strength into it. So it's gonna be mounted from a lot of places, and I'm glad I made this longer, because now I'm gonna need this to probably help patch that up. But originally I was only gonna do 5 spot welds, but I'm gonna have to do a lot more welding to weld up down the side. So I'm gonna just flatten that out, put this in, see what it covers, and go from where I need to fix it now. And that thing was a pain in the butt to remove, so future reference to anyone else that wants to do this. Okay, so here's the bracket now. I went ahead, I do have weld-through primer through it, and I did have to put a little bend into it actually, because the bottom of the cowl is not completely straight. So I just popped this in my shrinkers, gave it a nice little tighten on both sides, and gave it a nice little bend. Perfect, it didn't take much to do. So I'm gonna need to get that welded in, but first I'm going to go ahead and actually I am going to try to weld this plate onto the firewall. So I need to reattach everything, hook this up, bolt it up nice and tight, and try welding it. Since I already have the welder set up to weld thicker metal, I want to get that in place before I go up and fix everything else. I might not even show that because that's just basic body work. So let's go ahead and bolt everything back up again. Wow, that was a lot of fun. So got this side nice and welded in. The problem is with this is very thick metal. This is probably way too thick than I needed. I think it's like 10 gauge or 8 gauge it was. You should probably use about 14 gauge steel for this. So that's welded in. So I had to go slow with it, make sure I didn't blow holes through the firewall. The key is you start on a thicker metal, build up a puddle, and push it over onto the smaller side. I'm not an expert welder, but that's why people on YouTube are doing, so I'm like, I'll give that a shot, and that worked out good. So back over here, I welded up in through here, get more strength on this side. I don't care if it's not pretty looking or not, I just had to make sure I sand it flush because the back plate. Then I just got done welding the bracket into it, so not prettiest weld, but no one's gonna see this, so I don't care too much about cleanup. I mean, I'll clean up basic cleaning for the welds, but it doesn't have to be flush or anything. So put a whole bunch of just tack welds all the way down through there, spot welds in through the middle and onto the other side. So that's good. I put an extra plate I welded in through there to make it some extra strength. This is only actually 20 gauge here, but I did fix the holes up in there. I did blow a few holes out here on this side going through it, so I have to fix more in the inside. Not too bad. I have other plans for this since I'm not putting the wiper. I mean, I'm going to be able to put the wiper motor and all the mechanisms if I want to. I don't think I'm going to, but I'm going to leave that option for the future. But I got to figure out where I'm going to put the reservoirs. I was thinking about putting them inside the cowl, so that's probably going to be another video. So that's good, very strong and secure. I think I do need to widen the holes out just a tad bit. It was a pain in the butt trying to unscrew it with the Allen key. Another nice tip, if you have like a battery pack from a drill, I dropped mine. It was busted. If you saw in the time lapse, I thought I saw smoke. I thought it was from welding. It was actually on my bench. I actually, this dropped and it busted, and I had this lovely chain for my light hanging down from it, and that started smoking right through here, and it burnt my bench up pretty good. So I didn't think that would happen. I guess it landed perfectly and almost had a nice little fire right there, so that would have been bad. This video, I know there's a few things I still got to do. I have to put the brake sensor in still. I have a few ideas I want to do that, but I'm going to wait until I run the brake lines. I'm probably going to have it so I can bolt it in because I have to breathe the brakes and do adjustments for it. So I know that those are probably two big things left to do, is the brake sensor and obviously the brake lines, but that's going to be another video. So okay, this is all good, welded up. Now finally I need to I need to just clean it all up, get everything back in some type of paint and protectiveness. You know what, I'm just going to put it all back together and probably end the video there because there's no point. I got to do other stuff too that won't get done with the engine bay, but give you one good final look how secure it is. So okay, so I need to show you guys this all put together now. So all good, secure. This thing is very solid, very happy with that. Seemed like though when I did weld this up here, it did shift a little bit, so it threw some of the bottom holes off a tad bit. Not where I can fix that very easy, so I'm calling it done pretty much. It's nice, everything still works. I still have nice gap in between the brake pedal and the clutch pedal, and I need to shift this over still to it. So the big other issue was the steering rack's not as strong because it's all in different pieces. So I went ahead, I can't remember if I have this on video or not, I'll have to double check, but I put nice thick, there's like 10 gauge here, and then iron right here. So nice and secure on both sides, welded. That stiffened it up. And then I went through here, because this was only tack welded into here, went ahead through a nice thick bead there and over on this side. So there's still a little bit of play, not much though. Also, when you have the dash installed, the dash actually slides down in between these bolts and tightens it down, and that will lock it into place. I don't have the back bolts on to it. So looks like I'll have plenty of room from here to run my brake lines. It is very tight, again, right down into, you can see that one right there, but I'm going to clean this out with it. So the fun part, taking everything apart, cleaning it, and then painting it. But I am actually, I'm calling this a wrap for this video because this took a lot longer than I wanted to, but it does look good. I was planning for trying to get the car painted by the end of this year, but that's not going to happen. So heads up for next videos. I'm just going to worry about getting the front of the car, like the engine bay, all that. I'm going to work on sanding all that down, getting that to epoxy, and actually, if I don't have to do too much more body work on that, I'm going to put that in then 2K primer and get it painted. I'm not going to do high build primer on inside the engine bay. If I can get that at least done for this year, I can be able to get the engine and the front suspension back onto it. It'd be easier to move around the shop. So then I can work on the small little things over the winter I need to. Then beginning of spring, as soon as the weather breaks and gets halfway decent, hopefully I'll be ready. I can get the whole thing painted. Then within a month, and when there's body work, then hopefully it'll be good enough to go, so I'll have all next year to do it. So all right guys, well that's it for this. I'm glad hope you guys watched it. Hope this is something you guys found interesting. Maybe you might find a better way to do it than I did it. I've not seen anyone do this with a 510 without a roll bar cage. I think this has worked perfectly. I don't know how it's gonna, I mean, my welds are good. I put extra welding, so it looks like crap, but they're strong. I mean, I pretty much just jumping on the thing to make sure. So, all right, guys, I'm starting to ramble. So, you know what? Thanks. Give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know how I'm doing. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.